Rin worked on the outer deck of the space station, his hands busy with tools and wires. The station orbited a quiet blue planet, far away from the busy trade routes of the galaxy. Most days were slow. Repairs, cleaning, checking power lines, life was routine. But that day was different. A royal ship had arrived. Everyone whispered about it even before the docking clamps closed. It was no ordinary ship, its surface shone silver, with tall towers and banners that carried the mark of a faraway empire. Soldiers marched off the ship, their armor bright and polished, their steps in perfect order. And behind them, she appeared, the alien princess. The workers around Rin stopped what they were doing to stare. She walked slowly, her pale robes flowing around her like soft waves. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp and distant, as if she was looking at a place no one else could see. The rumor was true, she did not speak. Not a word. "Do you see her?" one worker whispered to another. "They say she hasn't spoken for years. Not even to her own people." "They say she's cursed," another answered in a low voice. "Some say she's broken inside. A princess who cannot speak is no princess at all." Rin stayed silent. He didn't care much for royal matters. To him, she was just another visitor. Still, something about her eyes unsettled him. He looked away and returned to his work. Later, the head engineer called him. "Rin, the royal ship systems need repair. You'll assist. Don't cause trouble, and don't look the princess in the eye. Do you understand?" "Yes, I understand," Rin said, though he wondered why such a rule was given. When he boarded the royal ship, he noticed how different it was from the station. The walls were made of smooth crystal-like material, glowing faintly with energy. Everything felt too clean, too silent. He worked carefully, checking the damaged power cores. The problem wasn't too hard old wires, weak circuits, the kind of thing he was good at fixing. As he worked, he felt someone behind him. He turned. It was her. The princess stood only a few steps away, watching him. Her guards were not in the room. Her expression was calm, but her eyes, those sharp, endless eyes, were fixed only on him. Rin froze for a moment. He remembered the warning not to look directly, but it was too late. Their eyes met. She didn't speak. She didn't move. She only stood there, silent. Rin swallowed and tried to act normal. "I'm just repairing this section," he said softly, though he knew she might not answer. "It will take some time." No reply. Just silence. He turned back to his work, but he could feel her gaze burning on his back. Every small sound, the scratch of his tool, the hum of the wires, felt louder than usual. He worked faster, trying to finish. Finally, he completed the repair and stood up. To his surprise, she was still there. She hadn't moved an inch. For a strange moment, it felt like the two of them were the only people in the entire ship. Then, heavy footsteps echoed in the hallway. Her guards appeared, walking in quickly. The princess lowered her eyes at once and stepped back, almost as if she had never been watching him at all. "Human," one of the guards said coldly. "You will complete your duty and then leave. Do not disturb the princess." "I wasn't disturbing her," Rin replied, though his voice was quiet. The guards ignored him, forming a circle around her as if he were a threat. They led her away without a word. Rin stood alone in the strange crystal chamber. The silence of the ship pressed on him again. He thought about the way she had looked at him. It wasn't random. It wasn't casual. It felt like she wanted to say something but couldn't. Back on the station, the other workers asked him endless questions. "Did you see her? Did she say anything? Did she look cursed?" Rin only shook his head. "She didn't speak," he said simply. That night, as he lay in his small cabin, he couldn't stop thinking about her eyes. For someone who hadn't spoken for years, she carried more words in her silence than anyone he had ever met. And though he didn't understand why, he had the strange feeling that this was only the beginning. The next day, Ren returned to the royal ship for more repair work. The systems were large and complex, and it would take him several days to finish. He told himself he should focus on the wires and machines, not on the princess who had watched him the night before. Still, her eyes lingered in his mind. The halls of the ship were always quiet. The guards walked in silence, their faces stern, their hands always near their weapons. No laughter, no casual talk, only silence. Even the ship itself seemed to hold its breath. Ren worked alone in one of the power rooms, crouched on the floor with his tools spread around him. Sparks flashed as he tightened the circuits. He hummed softly to himself to fill the emptiness of the room. Then he felt it again, the same presence. He turned quickly. The princess was there. She stood a short distance away, her white robes glowing faintly under the crystal lights. Her eyes were on him again, steady, unblinking. Ren's heart jumped. "You shouldn't be here," he said quietly. "Your guards." Before he could finish, a sound came from her lips. It was soft at first, almost like a breath carried on air. But it was a word. A real word. "Human." Ren froze. The tool in his hand slipped and clattered to the floor. His chest tightened in shock. Had he imagined it? The princess looked straight at him, her lips moving again. This time, clearer. "Human," she whispered. Ren's mouth opened slightly. For years, she had not spoken. Not to her own people, not to anyone. And yet, she had spoken to him. He took a slow step closer. You spoke. You spoke to me." Her expression did not change, but her voice came again. This time, softer, almost like she was testing the sound of her own voice. "Ren." The sound of his name, spoken by her, sent a strange chill through him. She knew his name. He hadn't told her. No one had told her, at least not in front of him. How could she know? He swallowed hard. Why can you speak now? Why me?" But she did not answer the question. She only repeated his name again, as if holding onto it with care. "Ren." Before he could say more, the door opened with a loud hiss. The guards rushed inside, their eyes wide. They looked at the princess, then at him. One of them shouted, "What happened? Did she speak?" The princess turned her head away, her lips pressed tightly together again. "She gave them nothing." Ren shook his head quickly. "No. She didn't say anything." The guards narrowed their eyes. They didn't trust him, but they couldn't prove anything. They stepped forward, separating Ren from the princess at once. "You are finished here," the lead guard said coldly. "Leave now." Ren gathered his tools and walked out without arguing. But his hands were trembling. His mind was filled with the sound of her voice, so soft, so fragile, yet so alive. Back on the station, the story spread like fire. Somehow the guards had whispered to others that the princess might have spoken. Workers filled the halls with questions. "Is it true? Did she speak to you? What did she say? Why only you?" Ren answered none of them. He locked himself in his cabin, trying to calm his racing thoughts. When night came, the station grew quiet. The stars outside shone like cold silver eyes. Ren lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling. Then, suddenly, he heard it. Not with his ears, but inside his mind. "Ren." He sat up straight, his heart pounding. He looked around his cabin, but no one was there. The voice came again, soft and clear, inside his head. "Do not be afraid. I can speak, only to you." Ren's breath caught. He pressed his hands against his ears, but the voice was still there, gentle and unshaken. It was her. The princess. His thoughts spun in confusion. Why him? Why now? What did it mean that she could speak only to him? He sat in silence, his heart heavy with questions. The voice spoke once more, as if answering his unspoken fear. You will understand, soon. And then the silence returned. Ren lay back down slowly, his eyes wide open, staring at the darkness above him. He knew his life had just changed forever. Ren could not sleep that night. The voice of the princess echoed inside his mind again and again. It was impossible, unreal, yet it had happened. She had spoken to him in the power room, and later, she had spoken inside his head. The next morning, Ren tried to act normal. He went about his work on the station, checked wires, replaced old parts, and answered the engineer's questions with short replies. But his thoughts were far away. Every sound reminded him of her voice. He told himself he should stay away. She was a princess, and he was just a worker. The guards already suspected him. If they discovered she spoke only to him, he could be punished, or worse. Yet when he walked past the docking bay and saw the silver ship waiting there, his steps slowed. His chest tightened. Something pulled him toward it, something stronger than fear. That evening, when most of the workers had gone to rest, Ren slipped into the royal ship again. The halls glowed faintly, quiet and cold. He walked carefully, his footsteps soft. He expected to be stopped by guards, but no one was there. The halls felt strangely empty. And then, like before, he felt the quiet weight of her presence. The princess stood at the far end of the corridor. This time, she was alone, without soldiers. Her hands were folded in front of her, her eyes fixed only on him. Ren stopped a few steps away, unsure what to do. "Why are you here?" he asked softly. She took a slow breath. Her lips moved. And again, he heard her not only in the air, but inside his mind. "Because, you are the only one who can hear me." Ren's eyes widened. The sound of her voice in his mind was gentle, like water flowing. "I don't understand," he whispered. Her gaze did not move from him. "Since I was a child, my voice was stolen. My people hear nothing when I speak. But when you are near, the silence breaks. With you, I can speak. With you, I feel alive." Ren felt a chill run down his back. "Why me? I'm not special. I'm just human." The princess stepped closer. Her eyes glowed faintly in the crystal light. "It is because you are human. Your kind carries a resonance, a force. I do not know the name for it. But when you stand near, my voice awakens." Her words made no sense, yet they felt true. Ren remembered the way she had first spoken his name, the way her voice had slipped into his thoughts at night. He rubbed the back of his neck nervously. "If your people find out, they might think it's dangerous." "They already fear me," she said, her voice sharper now. "They think I am broken. They think I am weak. But with you, I am not weak." Her words hung in the air between them. For the first time, Ren noticed something in her expression that he hadn't seen before, not coldness, not distance, but hope. Slowly, she raised her hand. For a moment, Ren thought she wanted to touch his arm, but she stopped halfway. Her fingers trembled slightly. "You are not like the others," she whispered. "You look at me, not with fear, not with pity, but with wonder. That is why I can speak to you." Ren didn't know what to say. He was only a worker, someone who fixed broken machines. But to her, he was something more, someone who gave her back what had been stolen. He took a careful breath. "If you can speak to me, then maybe I can help you. Maybe I can help you keep your voice." Her eyes widened a little, and for the first time, a small, fragile smile touched her lips. It was gone almost as quickly as it came, but Rin saw it. Then, footsteps echoed in the distance. The guards. The princess quickly lowered her eyes, stepping back into silence. The connection between them faded, as if a door inside Rin's mind had shut. The guards appeared, their armor gleaming. They looked at Rin with suspicion. "Why are you here?" one of them demanded. Rin held up his tools. "I was finishing my repairs," he lied smoothly. The guard's eyes narrowed. "Leave. Now." Rin nodded and walked past them, forcing his steps to remain calm. He didn't look back, though he wanted to. He could feel her eyes following him until the door closed behind him. Back in his cabin, Rin sat down heavily on his bed. His hands trembled as he thought about what had happened. She had spoken to him again. Not by accident, not by chance, but because of something deeper, something that tied them together. He stared out the small window at the endless stars. He didn't understand it yet, but he knew one thing: he could no longer pretend this was none of his concern. The bond between him and the princess was real. And it was only growing stronger. The next morning, Rin was summoned to the council chamber inside the royal ship. 2 guards came to his cabin and ordered him to follow. Their faces were as hard as stone, giving him no chance to ask why. As they walked, Rin's thoughts raced. Had someone seen him speaking with the princess? Did the guards know the truth that she could talk when he was near? The doors to the council chamber slid open with a low hum. Inside, the room glowed with blue crystal light. Around a long table sat the princess's advisors, older aliens dressed in silver robes. Their eyes followed Rin as he stepped inside. At the end of the table sat the princess herself. She sat tall and still, her face calm, her eyes lowered. She gave no sign that she even knew him. One advisor leaned forward. His voice was sharp. "Human worker, reports have reached us that the princess has spoken. Is this true?" Rin felt the weight of every eye on him. He forced his voice to remain steady. "No, I have not heard her speak." The advisor's eyes narrowed. "Strange. The guards claim her lips moved when you were present." Rin kept his gaze on the table. "Maybe they imagined it. She has not spoken to me." The room was silent for a long moment. Then another advisor spoke, older and calmer than the first. "Do you know of the prophecy, human?" Rin looked up, surprised. "Prophecy?" The older advisor's voice lowered, as if he feared the walls might hear. "It is said, long ago, that a human would awaken the voice of stars. That through him, silence would break, and hidden truths would rise." Rin frowned. "That sounds like a story. I'm just a worker. I fix wires." "Perhaps," the advisor said. "But the princess has not spoken for many years. And now, when you appear, whispers say her silence cracks." Rin glanced at the princess. She still sat with her eyes lowered, giving nothing away. He could not tell if she was afraid, or hiding a secret. The first advisor struck the table with his hand. "Enough. This human is dangerous. Remove him from the ship at once." But the older advisor raised a hand. "Not yet. Watch him. Study him. If the prophecy is true, we cannot act blindly." The council ended, and the guards led Rin out. His heart pounded, but he kept his face calm. Something about the prophecy unsettled him. Was that why the princess could speak to him? Or was it only a tale to scare children? Later that night, he found himself once again drawn to the quiet halls of the ship. And again, she was there, waiting. "You heard them," she said, her voice brushing against his thoughts. "The prophecy." Rin nodded. "They think I'm some chosen one. But I'm not. I'm just me." The princess stepped closer, her eyes glowing faintly in the crystal light. "The prophecy is true. My silence was not natural. It was placed upon me forced. Her hand touched the crown on her head, a delicate silver band with small glowing stones. This was not only a symbol. It is a cage. A device that blocks my voice. When others are near, it seals my words. But with you, the device weakens. That is why I can speak. Ren stared at the crown. So it was never your choice. Someone made you silent. She nodded slowly. Yes. They feared my voice. They feared what I could become. And so they bound me in silence. My people think I am broken. But I am not. I was chained. Ren felt anger stir inside him. Whoever had done this had stolen years from her life. If that crown is the cause, he said firmly, then we can take it off. We can remove it. Her eyes widened slightly. For a moment, hope lit her face. But then she shook her head. It is not so simple. The crown is tied to my life force. If it is removed without care, I could die. Ren's fists tightened. Then there must be another way. A safe way. The princess stepped closer, her voice stronger now. You do not understand, Ren. If anyone learns that you weaken the crown's power, you will be hunted. My advisors, my guards, even my own family. They will not let you live. Ren met her eyes. Then let them come. I don't care. You deserve your voice. And I'll help you keep it. For a moment, she only stared at him. Her lips trembled as if she wanted to say something more. But before she could, alarms blared through the ship. The walls shook, and the lights dimmed. A guard's voice rang out over the speakers. Enemy raiders. All units to defense stations. The princess's eyes widened with fear. Ren turned toward the sound of the alarm, his heart pounding. The ship was under attack. And he knew, whatever secret bond tied him to the princess, it was about to be tested. The alarms blared through the royal ship, shaking the walls with a harsh, mechanical hum. Ren's heart raced as he ran down the glowing hallways, trying to reach the princess. Sparks flew from damaged circuits, and warning lights flashed red, painting everything in a dangerous glow. The sound of metal feet and shouted commands echoed behind him. Guards rushed past, shouting orders. But the princess was nowhere in sight. Then he saw her. She stood in the center of the command chamber, her hands pressed to the console, her eyes wide with fear. The crown on her head glimmered faintly, and the soft glow of the crystal seemed to quiver with every alarm. Princess! Ren called, running toward her. It's okay. I'm here. Her eyes met his. For a moment, she seemed frozen, as if the sudden chaos had robbed her of breath. She had always been silent, and now the weight of her people's fear pressed down on her like a heavy stone. The enemy raiders were boarding the ship, firing energy blasts into the walls and corridors. Explosions shook the chamber. The guards fought back fiercely, but the attackers were too many. The human and alien defenders struggled to keep them at bay. Ren realized what was happening. The princess could not command her people. They would not listen to her voice. She had never given orders, never raised her words over the roar of battle. Now, her silence made them vulnerable. He ran to her side and grabbed her hand. The warmth of her skin surprised him. She looked down at his hand, then back into his eyes. You can do this, he said, his voice steady despite the chaos. Your people will listen. I know they will. I can hear your voice, I believe in it. You have to try. The princess hesitated, trembling. Her lips parted slightly, but the words did not come. Ren squeezed her hand. I'm here with you. Speak to me. Speak to them. I'll help you. For the first time in years, the princess took a deep breath and raised her voice. It was not loud or strong, at first, just a whisper carried on the chaotic air. Hold the line. The words flowed out, soft but firm. Ren could hear them in his mind as clearly as if she were speaking directly to him alone. The guards stopped fighting for a moment, their ears straining, their eyes searching for the source. Then, louder this time, she commanded, "Defend the corridors. Protect the central chamber." A shift happened. The alien soldiers froze at first, uncertain. Then, slowly, they began to move as she had directed, organizing their formations, taking positions she had never given them before. The raiders, surprised by the sudden order, faltered in their attack. Ren realized that her voice carried power, not magic, but something stronger. Authority, clarity, and trust all in one. Her silence had been their limit. Now, with her words, they could act as one. He stayed by her side as she gave more instructions, guiding her soldiers step by step. Every word she spoke grew stronger. Fear melted into courage, hesitation into action. Ren felt a strange pride and relief swell inside him. She was alive again, fully herself, and the bond between them allowed her to reach her people in a way no one else could. Despite the chaos, the princess's smile was faint but real. She looked at Ren, and he knew she had finally found her strength. The battle was fierce, and the raiders did not give up easily. Energy blasts shattered walls, sending debris flying. Ren dove to protect the princess from falling sparks, and she clutched his arm tightly for balance. "Stay with me," she shouted, her voice now strong enough for all the chamber to hear. He nodded. "Always." Together, they guided the defense, word by word, order by order. Slowly, the tide of the battle turned. The raiders, confused by the sudden unity of the defenders, began to retreat. Ships pulled back, leaving the royal ship scarred but still standing. When the last raider left, the chamber was silent except for the soft hum of the ship and the labored breathing of its defenders. Ren looked around. The princess stood tall, no longer trembling, her hands on the console, her eyes shining with life. "You did it," he said, voice shaking with relief. "You led them." She turned to him, a genuine smile now on her lips. "I did it, because you were here," she whispered. Ren felt a warmth spread through his chest. The connection between them, invisible and unbroken, had helped her find her voice at the moment she needed it most. Even the guards, who had doubted him, now looked at Ren with new respect. They had seen her speak, command, and inspire. The princess leaned slightly toward him. "Thank you," she said softly, but her eyes said much more. She had regained not only her voice but her confidence. Ren nodded. "We make a good team," he said with a small smile. Outside the chamber, the ship floated quietly against the backdrop of stars. The battle was over, but something had changed forever. The princess was no longer silent, and Ren realized that he was no longer just a worker. He had become part of something greater, a bond that would shape the future of both their worlds. After the battle, the royal ship was quiet. The alarms had stopped, and the red warning lights dimmed to a soft glow. Soldiers patrolled the corridors cautiously, repairing minor damages, while the princess stood in the command chamber, her hands resting on the console. Ren approached her slowly. She looked stronger now, more confident, yet something in her eyes told him that she was still carrying a burden. "Are you all right?" he asked softly. She nodded. "Yes, thanks to you. I did not know I could speak with such strength." Ren shook his head. "No. You did it yourself. I just helped you find it." Her lips curved into a faint smile, but it faded quickly. She hesitated, then spoke again, her voice lower, more serious. "There is something I must tell you, something no one else knows." Ren's heart tightened. "What is it?" She stepped closer, lowering her voice even more. The silence, it was not natural. It was forced. "The crown I wear, it is not only a symbol. It was made to block my voice, to keep me powerless. My family feared what I could become. Rin looked at her in shock. Your family? They wanted you silent. The princess nodded slowly. Yes. They believed my voice could change the balance of our empire. If I spoke freely, I could unite worlds, and they were afraid of that. So, they placed a device in my crown when I was very young. It sealed my words, kept me quiet, kept me small. Rin clenched his fists. That is unfair. You were robbed of years of your life. Of your voice. Her eyes softened. I know. And for years, I believed I was broken. I believed I would never speak again. Until you came. Rin felt a strange warmth in his chest. Me? Yes, she whispered, her voice carrying in his mind as clearly as if she were beside him. Humans carry something no other race has. A resonance, a force that awakens the hidden. When you are near, the crown weakens. I can speak. I can feel alive again. Rin shook his head, still trying to understand. So, it wasn't just luck. It was me being human that allowed your voice to return. She nodded, her expression serious. Yes. That is why I speak to you and no one else. With you, I am not chained. With you, I am myself. Rin took a deep breath. Then we have to remove it. The crown, the device. We can free you completely. The princess's eyes widened, but she shook her head. Not yet. It is tied to my life force. If it is removed carelessly, I could die. Only someone who understands the device, someone I trust, could safely help me. Rin looked at her. Then let me learn. I will help you. I promise. I won't let anyone take away your voice again. She studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, she stepped closer and whispered, I believe you, Rin. I trust you with this. For the first time, she looked at him not as a distant observer, but as someone who depended on him. The connection between them felt stronger than ever. The princess's voice came again, steady and certain now. I must tell you everything, the truth behind my silence, my family, and the prophecy. You must understand if we are to face what is coming. Rin nodded, leaning closer to hear her. My mother, the queen, feared my voice, she began. She ruled the empire and believed no one should have power beyond what she allowed. When I was a child, she arranged for the crown to be made. It blocks my words, makes me appear weak. My advisors and guards accepted it as law. They do not question it. They never help me, and many of them still think I am broken. Rin felt anger mix with sorrow. That is terrible. But, you are not broken. You are stronger than anyone there. She smiled faintly. Yes, but only because of you. I would never have found the courage to speak without you nearby. You are the first to see me fully, to hear my true voice. That is why I trust you with this secret. Rin swallowed. We'll fix it together. I'll help you remove the crown safely. I don't care what anyone says, or what your advisors think. You deserve to speak freely. Her eyes softened, and for a moment, they simply looked at each other in silence. No words were needed. The bond between them had grown, stronger than any chain, deeper than any fear. Rin, she whispered, the future will not be easy. There are enemies who wish to control me, to keep me silent forever. But with you, I feel ready. I can face them now. He nodded firmly. Then we face them together. Whatever comes, I'll stand by you. A small smile appeared on her lips, the first truly relaxed expression he had seen in her years of silence. Thank you, for believing in me when no one else did. I will not be silent again. Outside the command chamber, the stars shone through the crystal windows. The universe stretched endlessly, full of unknown dangers and possibilities. Rin knew that the coming days would be difficult, but he also knew one thing clearly: the princess's voice had returned, and he was part of a bond that could change everything. The days after the council meeting were unlike anything Myra had ever known. The station, once cold and empty, now felt alive. Luma's great branches stretched across the wide halls, glowing with soft light. Its roots carried clean air and water through the systems, making the station healthier than ever before. But more than that, something had changed in the people. Tauren workers, who once looked at Myra with suspicion, now approached her with quiet respect. They asked questions, not with sharp tones, but with wonder. They wanted to understand how she had guided the plant with nothing more than patience and care. Myra would smile gently and answer as best she could. "It wasn't only me," she always said. "Luma wanted to grow. It only needed someone to believe in it." Rin watched this change carefully. For years he had lived under the council's strict rules, guarding without question. Yet now, he saw hope spreading like sunlight through shadows. Myra had done what no one else could: she had opened hearts. One evening, Rin walked with Myra through the main hall. Above them, Luma's branches formed a ceiling of glowing leaves, like a sky full of stars. Myra placed her hand on the smooth bark. "It feels strange," she whispered. "For so long, I was only a scientist. I thought my work was just about numbers, tests, and results. But now, it feels like more." Rin turned to her. "Because it is more. You gave something we did not have. You gave it care." Myra looked up at him. There was no pride in her eyes, only a soft sadness. "Do you think they will ever fully accept this? Accept me?" Rin was silent for a moment. He could hear the gentle hum of the tree around them, as if it listened too. Finally, he spoke. "The council may not trust quickly. But the people see the truth. They see what you did. And so do I." Myra's lips curved into a small smile. "Thank you, Rin." Before more could be said, a sound echoed through the hall. Several children, Tauren younglings, ran past them, laughing as they touched the glowing roots of Luma. Their parents followed behind, not scolding, but smiling. Myra watched, her eyes wide with wonder. "That," Rin said quietly, "is the beginning. When the young see no fear, only joy, the future changes." But not everyone accepted so easily. Days later, the council leader called Myra and Rin once more. "This tree cannot spread uncontrolled," he warned. "If it grows beyond this station, it could cover worlds. We must be ready." Myra stood firm. "It does not grow without trust. It listens to hearts. If we give it fear, it may twist. But if we give it care, it will stay balanced. Please, don't see it as a threat. See it as a chance." The council members argued long into the night. In the end, they gave their answer: the human and the guardian will remain as its caretakers. "If this is a new path, then you must walk it first." Myra bowed. "We will." Rin bowed too, but his eyes carried strength. He would stand with her, no matter what. Weeks turned into months. Luma grew into a great tree at the center of the station, its trunk strong, its branches wide. The air always smelled fresh. The halls were no longer silent but full of life and color. Where once the Tauren had walked with stiff pride, now they paused to rest beneath the tree's glow, speaking softly with one another. Myra often sat at the base of Luma, reading her old research notes. She no longer needed them, but she kept them as a reminder of where she had begun. Sometimes she would laugh softly. "I came here to study and experiment, and instead, I found a friend." Rin joined her often. He would stand close, silent but steady, like a shield. One day, he asked her, "Do you ever regret defying them?" Myra shook her head. No. If I had listened, Luma would be gone. And all of this she gestured to the glowing halls, the healthy people, the joy in the air would not exist. Sometimes, the hardest choice is the right one. Rin nodded slowly. He had lived his life following orders. Now, for the first time, he felt free. A great celebration was held when Luma produced its first giant bloom. The flower opened at the top of the tree, shining so brightly that even ships passing outside the station saw it. The Tauren called it the heart bloom. Crowds gathered in the hall to see it. Children cheered, elders bowed, and the council themselves stood in silence, unable to deny the beauty. Myra touched the trunk, her eyes shining with tears. It was never just an experiment, she whispered. It was my heart. And it never stopped growing. Rin stood beside her. And now it has become the heart of us all. As the glow of the heart bloom spread across the station, Myra felt a deep peace. She had come here as a scientist, small and alone. But now, she was part of something greater. Humanity had shown its gift, not power, not control, but the strength to care, to connect, to grow. The Tauren had given her a place. Rin had given her trust. And Luma had given her proof that a heart could change the stars. This was not the end. It was only the beginning, a new beginning, born from compassion.